Welcome back to New Friends. It's been 3 months. Everyone needs their own summer period. Everyone needs a break from work. I'm super excited for this conversation today. Today, I have with me Angel Davis, the second Liberian I've had on this platform. She is a organic and paid social marketer at Quizlet. She went to NYU where she studied, but there's a lot that we're gonna unpack in this conversation. That's enough of me talking though. Angel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me on your platform. I'm really excited to just dive into the conversation. Like I already said, I work at Quizlet on the marketing and digital marketing side, heavily in social. I graduated from NYU with a major in politics and a minor in business entertainment, media, and tech. I'm from Delaware and I'm currently in Brooklyn, exploring post grad and all that jazz.
BK Vibes, we love Brooklyn. Just to get us started, I do have some rapid fire questions so we can learn a little bit about you. You're doing social marketing. What would you say is the better hotspot for social media? Would you say it's the East Coast, like NY, or would you give it to the West Coast?
I am very biased with this answer, but I'm always going to give it to New York. I think it has more style and a little bit more life.
When you wake up in the morning, what's the first app that you open?
It really just depends. I don't know if there's a consistent first one that I'm open.
This morning when you woke up, outside of your alarm and your sleep sounds, what was the first social media app you opened?
Oh, Instagram.
Okay, okay. I got two more for you. What would you say your favorite NYU memory was in one word?
Oh, one word.
Describe it.
Oh, biking?
And then the last one for you, obviously being in the space that you're in, what's one brand that you would love to work with someday?
Tougher.
Unpack that one. Why is that?
It's a culturally relevant brand that I really want to work with. It's Liberian owned. So obviously I want to support my people. And it's actually just a really cool brand. I like the drops. I love the way their marketing is and like how strategic they are. And they keep pushing the envelope. They're very innovative in their content, in their campaigns, and the creators that they get to support it. And they're really big on community. And especially in New York City, like everyone knew about Telfar before Beyonce and the Meg Thee Stallion. I think like also living in New York City and seeing its growth from the city, it'd be really cool to work with them in some capacity.
Got it. All right, let's go to the beginning. How did you and your family end up in Delaware of all places? If I'm not wrong, that's where you grew up, right?
Yes, I grew up in Delaware, but I was born in Jersey. Both my parents are from Liberia, and they came over here at different times. My mom came here in, like, her teens, my dad came a little bit later, and then they met in Jersey. From there, we moved from Jersey to Delaware just to give me more opportunities, and they thought it would be a better upbringing for me, and so we found ourselves in Delaware.
Mm,
I always describe it like the most suburban movie you've ever seen. Teen, high school, Sweet 16. They do parades and homecoming courts and football games. That's Delaware. It's super suburban. It's diverse-ish, but it's a very simple and easy place to grow up.
Delaware is also really easy to get to some of these other East Coast cities. Did you have early experiences with your family going on trips to like New York or all these other places?
Yeah, so we're from Jersey, so we would always go to Newark, and then we would go to Philly a lot. Philly is 40 minutes. We had so much family in Philly. That's like Liberian's second capital besides Minnesota. We would go to different parts of Maryland too. I think my parents always liked it because they had a lot of friends in surrounding areas, so they could go, show face, meet, have fun, and give me the experience of meeting other people and seeing family. But then there's also that niceness of coming home and not always being fully in the mix with the other major cities.
I like something you just brought up here. Like you have Delaware where it's home, it's really suburban, and then you would be traveling to go see family where it's a whole different like culture. We're Liberian, so I understand it too. Was there a class on identity composition? Was there a class? How were you figuring out?
I definitely think there was a clash, and there was a clash for a really long time. I also think it's very specific to Liberians knowing our history and relation even to America. But I think culturally, yes, Delaware is diverse, but there still wasn't a lot of Africans, let alone Liberians. So I'm in this space primarily with white people. Growing up there culturally, like, this is kind of what I know, and then obviously I have my parents, I'm living in an immigrant household, that's also what I know, and it's starkly different than how I'm being raised in school or in dance classes, and then going to an event in Philly or going to an event in Jersey and being surrounded by, like, my cousins or my playmates and things like that, and our family and how that looks like and how we're interacting, it was a very large dichotomy in how I viewed being American and being Liberian. There's a stark difference, I think, and sometimes they would clash. I remember that there would be words that I would say wrong because of, like, colloquial and, like, accent, but it's still English. That's, like, the thing with Liberian culture too. It's a very unique culture, and it's similar-ish through the American influence that came, but it's also still at the root indigenous and has a variety of cultures from all the different tribes. So I feel like there was
Yeah.
all that tension of, "Wait, this isn't normal," things like that.
To your point, I remember I would have 3 different names, and one day playing with my friends, I'd go by Eli. If a teacher called me, it'd be Elijah, and then at home, it'd be Gal. So many different identities within a day. So I definitely resonate with that. I wanna talk about dance because you mentioned it a couple of times now. I just wanted to learn, like, what prompted your parents to put you into it, or was it you?
Yeah, I feel like my parents were so amazing growing up, and anything that I expressed interest in, they were like, "Let's do it," and I think a lot of it comes from they are immigrants and they're here to give me and my sister the best life that they can. And if I wanted to do gymnastics, put me in gymnastics. I wanted to do dance really young, they put me in dance, but then I quit like all of those things. And I started watching dance moms. A lot of things that I did was honestly influenced by the media, which is so ironic that I now work in social media. But I was watching Dance Moms, the reality show, and I was like, I want to dance. And so I told my mom, I was like, I want to dance. Can you put me in dance? They put me back into dance. And I loved it, like, I really started to like it, and I just stayed in it
Mm.
till
What
now.
drew like, what about it were you passionate?
I loved that 1, I it always felt very natural to me, like, whether it was flexibility or picking up steps or anything like that, and I also loved that it wasn't competitive in the sense that I had to beat somebody, I just wanted to be better, like, I feel like there's moves that you can master or there's timings or there's point from, like, flat-footed to point, like, there's just elevation, evolution within dance that's solely based on your performance, and I think as a person, I'm not necessarily competitive against other people, I don't really care what other people are doing, but I want to make sure that I'm getting better, and I felt like it was a really great way where I didn't have to always rely on everybody else. There's always that solo that you can do and compete and perform, and they're just grading you. They're not grading you on anybody else or compared to anybody else. They're genuinely just grading you, and I would take that and I would be outside every day in our backyard, like practicing and turning and flipping and leap, like all this stuff, just so I could genuinely get better. And I felt like that was something that really stuck out to me and like how much I loved twinking and doing and everything like that.
What were some of your, like, initial weaknesses when you first got into dance? Like, what did you struggle with that other people naturally were?
I was a terrible turner, like terrible turner. And I remember I was always the tallest in dance. And so naturally I could either go to the back or I could be front and center. And for most things, I was, like, front and center, like, I got it, but when it came to turn section, they're, like, taking me off stage, like, I would, like, not be in that part, and that's, like, an ego boost 'cause I'm always in the front, and, like, now I'm, like, not on stage for that, and so that was something that I really was like, "No, like, I have to work really hard on this." I'd be in my kitchen just, like, filming myself turning and watching videos how to get better and things like that, so towards the end of my last year, that's when I finally, like, really locked it down. I was, like, able to be in the sections and things like that, so it just took a lot of time.
You mentioned just the ego boost from being front and center in dance. I think that carries not the necessary like, the ego portion of it, but the ability to just be, like, in front of an audience, like, to have the spotlight on you and to deliver. How did you see that translate to other areas of like, your young, like, childhood?
Yeah, I think growing up, I was always the tallest in class, And then depending on the class, sometimes I was also like the only Black person or the only Black girl. So I'm 5'9" in 6th grade. I stand out like a sore thumb. And I think for a really long time, I didn't like a lot of people looking at me. But with dance, like everyone looking on me on my accord, I'm like nailing the moves. Like I practice it. Like I'm clearing the front for a reason. Like my teacher thinks I should be in the front. I felt like that was a really great gateway for me to gain a lot of confidence because people genuinely do like people who are really tall or something about them is outside of the normal. People do tend to look at them a little longer. And I felt like when I was younger, I was always getting stared at. I was always like questioned or asked, like, you're so tall or da da da, like all these different things. I didn't like the attention at all. But I think with dance, it helped me gain a lot of confidence in being perceived or being looked at in any type of fashion because I was so used to it on this big stage with a bunch of strangers and people were like clapping for me or telling me backstage, like, you did so good or all that stuff like that. But I think I got used to being perceived, like, honestly.
What was your favorite routine?
There's so many. I think my favorite, we did one to Destiny Child Survivor. It was like a remix. I was leading, and I think that was the one I always nailed. It was really good. It was really hard, but I really liked it.
I appreciate just you taking the time, to give us just a little bit bite size of, like, your upbringing. You've hinted a little bit about your Liberian roots and your background, your parents coming here at different times. I think it's really important to understand someone's parents' journey to understand who they are. Let's start out let's start out with your parents. What's their vibe?
My parents are really great people, and they're really great parents. They instilled in me very early discipline and education and go to school, read your books. Like, I would get books from the library, read it, and then my dad would sit and quiz me, like, on every book that I read. Or my mom would help me with my cursive. So they were always super involved. Like my dad would take me to school, all middle school, every single morning. He would take me and drive me. So they've always been super involved. And besides being super involved in my education, something that I think I'm really blessed about is they were also some people, like they're very open to evolving. I think immigrant parents, specifically Africans, even specifically Liberians, there's not a lot of evolution in their thought process and when they come to America and what that looks like now raising children who, yes, are Liberian or Ghanaian or Cameroonian. Yes, but they also are now truly still living in America. And how do you balance those different cultures? I think the best thing about my parents is that we're always all growing together and they always valued my voice and in my opinion. Like they've never been someone to shuffle my light or shut me out or to make it seem that my thoughts, my opinions, or how I navigate our family dynamic or how I navigate my life dynamic doesn't matter. And so I just think I'm really blessed to have such a straight and amazing support system in what I'm doing.
How'd they meet?
I think they met at a party. I'm pretty sure they met at a party. Librarians love enjoyment and party and social business. They met at a party.
And moving now to, like, the media aspect, do you think that I don't know what your parents do for a profession, but I know that most librarians enjoy the sure and steady medical route, whether that's being a nurse or whatever it is. What role do you feel like your parents played in the career path that you're on right now?
I think they just always wanted me to do what I really wanted to do. I always joke, "Mom, you were never the African mom that was like, go be an engineer, go be a lawyer." Like, they've never been that. I think because they could see early on that regardless, my sister and I have real goals, and we're gonna do what's needed to reach those goals, and we're going to be successful. We were always successful and, like, top of our classes, disciplined, like, all that stuff. When you have that track record, it might look different than being a doctor, and that wasn't important to them. For a long time, I thought I was gonna go to law school and be a lawyer. That was, like, the route that I was gonna do for a really long time. But in between then, I was like, I really like marketing. At some point, we were like dance. My mom's like, "Wait, are you gonna be like a dancer, like a professional dancer? What does this look like?" Like, they were super open, like, honestly. Like, I think it makes them happy that I have a little bit more of a practical job, but I don't really think they played much of an influence. I think, again, like, anything I wanted, I just said to them, and they're like, "Okay, how you gonna do that? What do we gotta do?" Or, "You're gonna be able to do that. Dream bigger, dream more."
I love how you said when you have that track record, you earn the right to then say, "This is what I wanna do." People with, like, trust. In your path, you mentioned law school was the route. I wanna, like, zoom in on that point. Why was law school the route for you, or at least why you thought it was what was for you? And then the inflection point that occurred that kinda steered you into media and marketing. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. I think at the root, it's always been media. I just didn't have the necessary tools to be able to recognize that it was always media.
Mm,
I chose law school because I loved Law& and Order, SVU, and again, influenced by the media. And so I'm telling my parents, "I wanna be a lawyer, SVU seems so cool." And then as I am growing up as well, I can be very hard-headed, as my parents like to say. So I think that also feels like, "You need to be a lawyer, like, you can really argue," and stuff like that. So, like, people were just telling me based on my personality I could be a lawyer, but obviously that doesn't actually come into fruition with what it actually means to be a lawyer. And then by what I was seeing in the media, being a lawyer looked really cool.
that's dope that you recognize that it was always media. You're a junior, senior high school when you recognize this? Or was this in college that you recognize this?
Yeah, I think I recognized this my sophomore year of college.
Okay. And what brought you from Delaware, let's jump in it, to NYU?
Okay, so surprise, surprise, I realized that the Olsen twins, I was a big fan of Full House, went to NYU. I'm watching their shows, I'm on YouTube, like, I'm a true Gen Z. And I go on their Wikipedia, and I see that they went to NYU. At the time, my favorite color was purple, and NYU was the violets. I'm 6 though, like 6 or 7, so this makes it sound a little bit better. I remember I ran out to my parents' room and I was like, "I wanna go to NYU," like, truly, 'cause the Olsen twins went there. And to my parents, "That's amazing, it's this great school, blah, blah, blah," so there's no question. So since I was, like, 6 or 7 years old, it's always been NYU. And as I got
Mm.
older, 1, I realized this is still a great dream school because it literally is a great school. And I went through a few different major ideas. Like for a while, I think I wanted to be like a fashion designer. I wanted to be a journalist. And again, all great schools for NYU. And then when the lawyer thing like really started to stick, it was okay, I'm going there for pre-law, great for pre-law. And I'm gonna study politics because there's not really a pre-law major. So I was like, okay, politics, political science is basically the same thing. Gonna study politics. I write my college essay on social media activism. That's why I'm like, it's always been about media. I get in, and then I just pick that because it was my
Mm.
dream school.
You step on campus your freshman year, maybe it's welcome week. How are you feeling? What, like, you're here at the place that you known it was always going to be. How are you feeling?
It's mixed with the fact that it's COVID and I didn't get a senior year. I'm not really getting what I envisioned because this has been my dream school for so long. You can imagine how many times I envisioned what my first week would look like. I'm not getting that. It's on Zoom. I'm on campus. I'm struggling to meet people. I'm anxious. I'm also the only person that I know here. Like, I'm from a state where everyone knows each other, and everyone usually goes to the same college. Everyone usually goes to UD, and that's just the pathway that people from Delaware go through. I don't do that, and I don't know anyone else here really. So now I'm, like, in a new city, global pandemic, no family, and I don't know anybody. But again, thank God for social media because I'm really active on social media and I met so many amazing people through me being active on social media that I was able to cultivate an amazing group and find different avenues of ways we could still see each other because I was so tapped in because of how active I was on social media. And so that first week was a little jarring. I was also in quarantine, I think. So it's stipulations. But once it started to go on, I was just able to use my resources to make things a little better in that situation.
What were you like as a freshman? It's COVID. Like, what are you posting on social media? What was the basis of which you were able to connect people?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of groups or pages posting like, "Hi, I'm going to NYU. I'm a freshman, blah, blah, blah. I'm interested in blank." So I was like using a lot of them because I truly wanted to come in and have friends. Like I didn't want to not enjoy my experience. People are reaching out and I'm like, yeah, it's me. It's really hard. We have no events, like no in-person classes. So yeah, it's me. But I don't think I was actually like posting on my own page, like, hey, anyone want to hang out or whatever. But from there, I was tapped into other different groups through other people that was able to figure out moments and spaces to come in and join.
We're gonna come back to your social media following and your own personal page because I don't know what the last count was. It was like 18, 19, 20, 21K. I don't know. It's up there though. It's up there. So I would have loved to talk about that. But I want to continue the conversation on the education front. Your sophomore year, I believe they reinstate us back on campus. I don't know how New York was, but I'm coming from the experience of being in Minnesota. What was it like at NYU?
Yeah. Sophomore year was a really good year. I feel like sophomore year was a really good year. I think as a whole, class of 2024, once we were back on campus and we really had a lot more freedom, there's still slight restrictions, but we had a lot more freedom. The goal was just to build as much community as we could. So I know a lot of us joined clubs and were on e-boards and things like that, just to give a sense of on-campus community that we didn't get our first year, and also encouraging the freshmen to really join so that they could see, "We didn't get this, so please don't take it for granted. Let's create this community," and so that we can ensure that our junior year and then our sophomore year, we get that NYU experience that people like upperclassmen and or people that graduated kept telling us about. So it was a goal, like, all hands on deck, like, what can we do? How can we include people? There was a lot more mixers and things to ensure that all those people who didn't come on campus, like, how can we still now reinstate them into this community with their peers? And then we still had all these people on campus, but a lot of them don't know each other. They're, like, in little groups, like, what can we do? So it was a lot of NYU directed and cultivated environments, and now people have their own apartments, like, now we're a little older, we're a little used to the city, we know our spots, so it was a really great year, like, the freshman year was a trial year, it was darker, colder, closer, but there was still so many cool things that are happening. I think sophomore year was kind of just like a eureka cover off, like, now we're free. I think going to NYU was the best decision I ever made because I think I was surrounded by so many intelligent, creative, driven people, and it was like, this is the year we need internships. This is the year we need that. So I'm like, okay, I need an internship. Let me start applying. Let me look like what are my interests? And I think that was when I was first exposed to honestly the amount of jobs and titles are available. I feel like growing up, it's like doctor, lawyer, engineer, nurse. Like that's like the only titles. And I didn't realize that like you could work in social media, or you can work in paid media, you could work in product marketing. Like I didn't even fully understand marketing. I thought it was just sales. Like I didn't know like marketing was a thing. And I've always been in this politics lawyer headspace. But I'm in these classes. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm learning. Great. But I'm not excited. This isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's very theoretical, very big picture. And I was like, I want to talk about what's going on today. Like what they're talking about on Twitter and activism. That's what I wrote my essay on. I want to figure out how we as a people, as society, like what conversations we need to be having to really evoke some change. That's my process. I'm like, this is not what I'm talking about. So then I realized that there's majors like media and communications and culture. So I was like, yeah, let me see if I can change my major. Let me try to get into media, culture, and communications. I feel like that'll be more aligned to my interests and I can still do more of a political advocacy route with the media. But then I tried to switch and they were like, you're not going to graduate on time. And in my head, I was like, it's just not worth it. I would rather graduate on time because I know it was going to work out regardless, that I was still going to end up in that space rather than time, redo all these classes, all this stuff. So that's why I ended up taking my minor, which was media, business, and technology. I was still able to take some of the classes I was going to take anyways with that major. Then I also got to take art classes. That's the reason I got to go to LA in my junior year. I got to take business classes. So now I actually was exposed to a lot more than what I would have been with just that major change. So I got to take a lot more classes in those different schools. And I think that was only brought up because I was surrounded by other people who were also questioning, like, this major, questioning this school, or just, like, questioning things to make us think deeper, like, what are we doing right now, and how is this setting us up for our future?
You had a lot of fun. You also were learning a lot and were asking a lot of the hard questions. There's something you said that I want to put a spotlight on. You said you used to think that marketing was just sales. And now you're in the space. What is the definition of marketing to you?
Yeah, I think marketing is just convincing someone to make a decision. So, theory, I think that's where the sales element comes from, but it's way more than that. It's as things as copy and editing and then content and social media marketing to product marketing to email marketing. There's so many different aspects of marketing that I had no idea existed. But at the core, at the essence, like a marketing department is we have this product or experience or person. How can we convince someone to invest them in some type of way, whether it's engage with them, purchase, promote, advocate? Like, what are, like, how do we get them to take an action in favor of the thing that we're trying for them to engage?
I like that. I actually like that a lot. I'm guessing your first internship or first 2 internships in college then, since you were more that pre-law route, were not in alignment with the space you're in. When you did make that switch, what was the first role or subset of social media marketing that you got, and how was it?
Yeah. So I actually started straight in social. Again, at the time, I was like, I like law, I like my classes, but it's always been social. I like posting on Instagram. I like posting on TikTok. I'm the friend that's like always helping my friends curate their posts. I was like, this is just, again, natural to me. Like dance is natural to me, social is natural to me. So I remember I had work study at my school and a job opened up for NYU's social team. And I was like, okay, great. I need an on campus job. This will be great. What does this look like? So I applied. Took a while to hear back from them, followed up, and I did the one page of all of my ideas NYU's officials accounts could start doing. My manager at the time, she loved it. They hired me. I started working on all of NYU's official accounts, and then I launched our TikTok. And then I was the one on campus, like interviewing people, like doing all that stuff, and just helped grow that. Think of strategy, content examples, like inviting different amazing people who were doing, like, super cool things at NYU and telling them, like, "Yeah, we need to spotlight them, give them the phone, give them the account, let's do a day takeover with them." And that just gave me a lot of great experience and really set me up for, like, how I wanted to position myself for future jobs and, like, future internships. So then from there, I was on LinkedIn. I need an internship, like, I need something else this summer. Again, everyone around me is like, "You need internships, it's sophomore year, we're going to junior year, like, you can't just not have one." I'm like, "Oh, let me keep looking." I remember I was getting denied, everyone was getting rejected, like, all these big companies get rejected, and then I got one at a really small CPG company, and I decided then I was gonna be an RA that summer so I could stay in New York and be able to fulfill the internship. It was great. I've only ever really now worked at smaller companies. I haven't done the really big conglomerates or anything. And I always think the way my career trajectory is set up, I really do enjoy working at smaller companies. I feel like I've just always gotten great mentorship because it's super one to one in any vertical. So, like, I'm one on one with my social team manager, but I'm also one on one with brand, I'm one on one with finance, one to one with legal and accounting, all these different avenues that are all really important how you work in the workplace. Like, common day, I can just truly go up and ask them a question. I feel like being so young in the workspace and being in, like, not a conventional per se career goal, because social is still really growing as a job and a career. It's been really great to also just have a lot of people to ask a lot of questions with. And then
Mm,
from there, I just got a few other internships and now I'm here.
and now you're here, and where's here?
I'm at Quizlet on the social team, and I was an intern for a year here. Shout out LinkedIn and posting on LinkedIn. I've been here for 2 years, and it's
Mm.
really cool.
But I'm like, "Hey, Angel, like, you work at Quizlet, you do marketing there. What's the one-liner? This is Quizlet, this is what we do." And I want it, though, in your voice.
And
What would you say?
it's just easy access to educational tools. I think for me, it's all about access, and that's super important and how accessible a product is to anyone, especially when we talk about technology. There's different age groups, like yes, you can have a target demographic, but at the end of the day, when we're talking about education, how people can learn things, because anyone can learn anything at any age. How accessible is this? I think Quizlet has a lot of tools and a suite that is easily accessible to a wide variety of people. You could do it on the go, you could do it in stationary, and there's different ways to digest all these different materials that you're learning through the suites of tools that we have.
You've been at Quizlet for 2 years. Kudos on making it 2 years. What have you learned?
I think practically I've just learned how to be really cross-functional, and that's, again, the beauty of working at smaller companies. I love being able to tap accounts and work with them, and, like, okay, now I know a little bit about the accounting process, like, I can tap legal. Okay, like, I'm working on contracts, like, me, like, I can edit this or read some of these terms, or I'm working with product marketing. I'm not a product marketer, but if they need help with the campaign, they can tap me easily. And I can sit there in the meeting. We can all brainstorm. We can have these cool ideas. I can offer copy or ideas to lifecycle marketing, or they could use me. And I really like that, especially being so early in my career in marketing. I don't know if I want to stay in social forever. So I think it's also been a great opportunity for me to see all these different avenues and to be able to talk to so many different people and not have it be maybe taboo. Something about working at smaller tech companies, I just love the closeness of it all. Like, it's really fast, it's really quick. I've learned to trust my gut a lot too. There's not all these processes. Like, it's just like, you want to do it? Go. Here you go. And there's a lot of autonomy. And I think, again, being early in your career, being given so much autonomy can be scary, but it forces you to really upskill quickly.
Mm.
So it's always been really great.
What's been the proudest moment of your career so far?
My manager at one time had gone to another job, and there was just that in between before we could hire a new one, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do her work." I'm, like, scared. I'm so junior, like, I'm so new. I just started full time, and I was, like, doubting my capabilities and my skills. In those, like, few weeks that we were trying to hire, I was like, "Wait, like, I actually, like, know what I'm talking about." I'm in meetings, like, now it's not my manager, like, I'm in meetings, like, if people have questions, they're, like, talking to me and small company, from things like small budgets to contracts to contractors, like, they're talking to me. I'm, like, 3 months into my full-time job, and I'm like, "Whoa, this sounds really crazy." But the way I handled that, I feel like mentally and just over, like, how I communicated what I knew, what I didn't know, what I was nervous about, and where I was really excited to grow. I just feel like that was a really good period in my career where I was really forced to speak up, identify my strengths, my weaknesses, and then execute. There was nobody else to execute. So you gotta execute. And I think I handled it pretty well.
I think that's a tribute to Little Angel that was front and center as a dancer on the stage and being able to execute there. So that's really dope. That's really dope. I want to ask you a question based on what I saw in your LinkedIn header. And in your LinkedIn header, you said that you're a data-driven storyteller. When people think about storytelling, they don't really think about like data. How do the two come together?
Yeah, I think it's like my two interests like merging. It's the idea of when it comes to marketing, especially now with all the technology, we have a lot of data on people's interests, their likelihood of engaging, their next steps. And I think you can tell more of a cohesive story when it is backed by data. I think sometimes as marketers, we want to almost go with our natural intuition when it comes to our creativity. And I think that always needs to be there. However, I think to go into that without having any data to support what you're trying to convey, what the campaign's supposed to be, or what's inspired this or who it's supposed to target, I think data also tells a story. If there's a reason why everyone is resonating with this type of ad, what about this creative is really good? And how do we evolve this creative into a much bigger campaign? That's a data driven storyteller because the data is also telling me a similar story, or it's not telling me the same story that I want. I'm over here thinking, this is the ad, like, this is the campaign, like, these are the creators and influencers that we want. This is the email, this is amazing. No one liked it. No one engaged with it. No one viewed it past 2 seconds. The data is saying that they don't like it. And as a marketer, how do you take out your emotions, your pride in your work, which is still amazing, and create something that the consumer, because that's who we want, the consumer wants to consume, and how to use the data to evolutionize the campaigns that you're making in the future.
Doesn't data at time lie? Like, is
Oh,
data always accurate?
no, of course. There's always data gaps. There's always things like that, of course. But I'm not fully driven by data. Some things I'm just inspired. I'm like, this is super funny. I laughed. So like I'm gonna post it. Like that there obviously like there's things and things like that. But I think when it comes to a company and budgets, you want to be smart with your money and you want to optimize in the best ways as possible. And so you if you have data that you trust and you're obviously using it in other facets or in other verticals of marketing, then I think it's also great to take that into consideration when creating future campaigns.
I have more topics in my that I want to cover with you before the end of this conversation. Before we even get into it, I want to say once again, thank you for it's almost 9 p.m. now in New York. There's so much else that you could be doing. You graced me with your presence and even stayed at Quizlet office to record this. So I'm super thankful for the time and I've learned a lot more about you through this. You said if you were to give a one-liner on what Quizlet is, it's easy access to educational tools, correct? I think in the time that we're in right now, there's a lot of different platforms that offers easy access to educational tools. So how does Quizlet view their mission of providing that easy access with all these other things now available to do the same?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of competitors out there in the growing competitive space, especially with things like MLL models and machine learning and all that stuff that I don't know too much about. I think what makes Quizlet really unique is also that the access that you have to our tools are tools that teach you and not just tell you. I think right now we're in a
Mm,
space uh, where a lot of the other tools or platforms are just giving out answers passively, right? Like you can go into a search bot and truly put in the question word for word and will give you the exact answer. You don't have to search for it. You don't have to decipher with your own brain or like maybe get a question similar, so then deduce from this similar question. This could be this answer based off this and or actually do the work and be taught it. It's just super passive, like a one response, boom. And I think when it comes to education and how people retain information, as we know, you actively have to learn it. And so I think our tools are built to teach students. You're going to have to do the practice test, maybe get it wrong. Maybe we'll give you a hint, but you're not going to just get the answer. So I think that's like our biggest thing. And then I also think because we are a legacy brand, there's also a sense of community that we have that I think a lot of other tools don't. Like, there is that sense of, "Oh, your friend made this whole Quizlet set and sent it to you." Like, you knew she took the time. Like, "I'm gonna use this," and I know her and I are in the same class, and we're learning the exact same thing. Now we can both study this set together. That's a little bit different than, "Okay, like, I'm on this passive chat box, and I can't really send it to anyone else in a way that, like, really shows the effort that I put into it." So I also think, like, we have a little bit of a community sense, and we're really trying to grow into that and tap into that too.
I love that pitch for Quizlet. When you think about Quizlet and you think about the changes that are going on right now, what is being implemented to the current phase that we're in? Because one thing that we do know is that kids are lazy.
Yeah, for sure. So depending on when you last used Quizlet, I don't know, but we do have AI tools. So we've made things faster and more efficient. AI is a great, I think, assistant. I just don't think it should do the work for you. And that is our stance here at Quizlet. It's a great assistant and it makes things more efficient, but you still need to learn the material. So it's as easy. You can upload all your notes and boom, you're getting flashcards. You don't have to always now make your flashcards yourself one by one. Or now we have our smart assist that we just dropped where it's like an assistant where you can get in like it, like, kinda is, like, next to your flashcards, analyze it, you can ask it questions, it can pull out the flashcards, you can say one topic, like symbiosis, it'll make 30 different flashcards just based off symbiosis. So we have a lot of tools that just make learning more efficient because people are lazier, sure. So you want things faster, and I think going to that efficiency route is, like, our biggest thing any rather than ever going into more so the answer key type of route. That's not where we stand and where we wanna be. We just wanna make things more efficient for students so that it just takes less time because studying can also be really tedious. So how do we make things just quicker and faster for them to at least get the study tools and materials that they need? to start locking in.
Now let's take the 9 to 5 marketer hat off. And like I mentioned earlier, I really did want to talk about your social media presence. I know that on Instagram, you have amassed a decent amount of followers. You have a sizable amount of views on the content that you post. I want to learn more about like how this started, how you got to this point, and how you've leveraged not only like your interest in media and just like curating a certain I think about Instagram as an experience, like a certain visual experience, but also how you're using data to power what you're doing. So, coming together of everything that we've talked about, but now on a Angel Davis front.
Yeah, sure. I'm just obsessed with social media. I hate that sometimes. I can't get away with it or get away from it, but it's just the name of the game. It's truly the gifts God had given me. My following started really passively, like on both Instagram and TikTok. It was more so things that I was posting just ended up going viral, whether it's just like TikTok videos, me singing or like a picture. These were never like intentions for them to go viral. This is for my own people to see. And the algorithm just pushed those to other people. And that started a lot of my growth quickly. Then from there, I was like, oh, like I have some following, some brands are reaching out to me, like, oh, is this like this influencer thing that's supposed to be for me? And so I would like work with brands like from wig brands and hair care brands, like makeup and things like that. But again, with no real intention or anything I stood for on my platform or anything like that, like really like curating content outside of like myself, like me posting a picture of myself. But then I started creating more content that was more faith based. And I feel like that's what I really like to do. And it really set me apart, I think, and helped me really build a really strong community on there. I primarily did that one on TikTok, and I've gotten a really great amount of opportunities from that. So that was my main thing. And I would make like faith content and spiritual content, all for Christians on their walk. And that was like my niche. I feel like for a really long time I had no niche. And I think because it's all about God, that's like the one space where I really don't care about the data. It's not data-driven storytelling, it's, like, Holy Spirit led, and so that's what I do. Obviously, I still have, like, my own, like, life, like, if I'm going out, I like my dress, I'm gonna post that too, but what I feel like I was known for and, like, the type of content that I create is a lot of it is really faith-based and, like, really just leading as many people as I can to Christ.
I love that. It's crazy because I think the first time I encountered you on social media, it might have been you mentioned like a playlist of the Christian song alternatives, which is like dope. What would you say is the next for you in terms of what you're able to achieve and accomplish through this medium?
Yeah, I think it gets really tricky, and it's something that I struggle with often because I don't wanna do things out of vanity. I think when you work in social media and all my life is, like, in social media, it can be very, like, "Did this get likes? Did this get comments? Or what are people saying about me and, like, what I look like?" And so, I think sometimes I battle with how I want this to evolve and, like, my platform to evolve in a space where I don't let a lot of pride creep in, I don't let a lot of vanity creep in. And so I think for me, it's more less about my social platform and views and how I can create more community. I feel like community is like a really big buzzword right now, but I honestly think it's really important. I think there's so many people with different interests, and how can I use like this following that I've built? Like, I think I don't want it to live solely online. I think you can reach a lot of people online, of course, but I don't want to be consumed by the media and like constantly feel like everyone's looking at me to engage with me, and how do I bring people together using this so that everyone's engaging with each other in a space. So I think that's why I really see it evolving next is like using more so that platform to bring people off of there and like into real life.
What would your first event be?
In theory, like Bible study picnic or a paint and sip, no alcohol probably. But I don't know, something I think first with women. I feel really called to do that. So I don't know exactly. That's something I would have to pray on, but I definitely wanna do something or a book club. I'm also really looking to do a book club, so we'll see. There's a lot of avenues.
To wrap this up, in the same kind of lane as we were talking about kind of what's next, and we talked about more like what's next for you on social media on the personal side. I would love to hear from you what's next for you in terms of your career. Not necessarily like a next job. It could be like certain skills that you want to acquire, certain projects you want to work on in your current role or whatnot. I also want to learn a little bit more about what's next for you in terms of being a young adult, now removed from college, living in New York. Which New York where you see yourself being? Like, is there any other city that you would relocate to? And then lastly, and I'm so happy that you brought up community, just what's next for you in terms of the community that you're bringing around, that you're cultivating? Is the community you have right now the community that you feel like you're supposed to be around, or is there still some more adding to the pot that you want to do? So those three facets, I would really love to hear your thoughts around.
Yeah. Firstly, in my career, right? So in my career, I'm really interested in just getting a little bit more technical and tactical skills. I really like data and how can I also be able to analyze that data a little bit better and a little deeper. I'm currently doing digital marketing courses that go a little bit deeper into different platforms. Just so if I'm talking to an analyst, I just have a way better idea of what they're talking about. I think for me, I really want to develop stronger technical skills. And I think whatever's happening with AI, I think it's really good to be super well diverse in all the skills that you possess. I think apart from that, I just want to be more of a generalist. Like, I love social, but like I keep saying, I really do that everywhere. Like, I work at social in my church, social in my life, social in my job. And like, how can I also just see like other ways to market things to people, and, like, how can I get on those campaigns or just help other teams in more of a general way? I think my goal is to really upskill in other parts of marketing just so I can see it all and see how I can evolutionize my career in a way that is super diverse.
Mm.
And then in my life in New York, I'm loving New York. I will not go back to Delaware. It's just a place that I visit.
How do your parents feel about that?
They're totally fine with that. Again, I've been wanting to go here since I was 6, 7. I'm living my dream, like, every day. So, definitely not going back there, but my people know I love them, I'll go visit them, like, I can only go to visit. So, I think I'm gonna stay here for a while, honestly. I think the only thing I'm only gonna leave when it's time for me to, like, settle down, I get married, have family. So, whenever that is, I'm gonna be a Brooklyn girl for a while. I like it. And then community, I think one of my greatest blessings in this life is, like, God always lets me the great people around me. Like, I've never been someone to struggle making friends or have a lot of rifts in my friendships or the people that I meet. And even though not everyone is, like, my bestie, even, like, people that are my acquaintances, like, I just feel like I always have great energy and great vibes with the people that I surround myself with. So I just think my community grows. I met so many people this Brooklyn summer. I'm just like, wow, there's just so many amazing people. And I think as I think about what this community building looks like for me and how I can take this in real life, I think there's a lot of great people who need it. And I think it's a little different than what a lot of people are doing right now in the city. I think just having the right people, and I know I have support in like what I would do from my community here in the city and figuring out how I can make something amazing with the help of other people around me. So I'm excited. Like I think like I'm everyone around me is great.
That's the one thing about New York that I've really enjoyed. Sometimes I could be a hater of New York, but the people that are in New York, especially in certain spaces, are truly just brilliant. And once you're around those people, you just meet other people just like that. And it's really hard to beat what NY has to offer from people and connection standpoint. Let's wrap this up. Let's bring this home. We talked about a lot in this conversation. Got to learn a little bit more of your upbringing, got to learn about dance, got to learn about NYU at age 6 and seeing purple, got to learn about your Liberian heritage, got to learn about pre-law and now to switch into media and learn a little bit about where you want to go. As I mentioned to you earlier, I really want to use this platform to try to help folks who were in similar seats as we were, whether that's middle school, high school, or in college right now, have some nodes to pull from and some different data points to be able to reflect on and think through about what they can do, where it's more than just the doctor, athlete, or the whatever it is. For you, what are some tidbits? What are some insights that you would want to share with the next new friends?
Yeah. I think one of the best pieces of advice that my dad ever gave me is being proactive. I feel like that's always really helped me in my life and specifically in my career, and just anticipating what's next and figuring how you can get ready for that next venture. And also be able to read people and figure out what they're thinking next in a way so that you know how to help support others. So being proactive in any space, I would say, is definitely important. I would say develop discipline. That's also something I'm also like still developing, but overall, like I've always said, like I wake up, I get to work like every single day. I go into the office. I don't have to go into the office at all. I go in every single day. I'm just someone I need a routine. And I feel like when you're really disciplined, you get a lot of things done. It trains you to do the harder things that when that hard thing comes, because there's always gonna be a hard thing that will come. When you have that disciplined, you're so used to some routine or you're so used to doing already the hard things that you didn't want to do that when that harder thing comes, like it's gonna be a lot easier to get over that roadblock. And then I would say this is funny because I didn't book that dance class that you told me to, but I would also say to follow through with your word. Usually, I am someone who I do follow through with my word. That's something that my sister tells me about myself. I'm someone when I deeply believe I want to do something or my goal is to do something, I have to do it and I have to figure out the steps in order to get to that space. And I'm a big going to say things out loud. There's power in the tongue. Tell people your goals. Don't be scared that people are gonna hate on you. I don't believe in that at all. I feel like if God wants you to do and you're praying for it, like that random person praying on your downfall is not going to do anything. So I'm a big component, like telling people your goals, and those people will keep you accountable. Those people are going to be like, oh, like you said, you're going to do X, Y, and Z. Now you really have to do X, Y, and Z. So really follow through with your word. I think that just shows who you are as a person. And it has a really long impact to be like, oh, like I didn't think I was going to do this. And then I did this. That's actually amazing because a lot of people cannot say that. So that's another really big thing is just follow through with your word.
Faith backed by works is a very powerful thing. So I'm very happy that you just shared that. We'll end it how we started it with a quick rapid fire. Paid versus organic.
Right now, paid.
I'm gonna ask you why.
I think right now, organic is being like slightly removed from algorithms because these platforms expect brands to pay. Like at the end of the day, social media now has been in the industry for a really long time. They know brands make a lot of money. They get a lot of acquisitions and users and customers. They making this viral post, no money, no ads. Oh, that algorithm is not showing it. Like, I promise you, like, the algorithm is not showing the organic post. So definitely paid. Like, paid is gonna get you the eyes and the views for sure.
Mm,
Pay to play is what we call it.
My last question for you is you mentioned a book club. What's the first book we're reading?
I have to read the synopsis of it, but I wanna say the author who wrote Americana, she dropped her first book in a while. I wanna say that one. The types of book I read are usually, like, West African fiction, so
Mm,
that and books, so it's really one of those.
I'm excited for the invite for the book club to dive into. Oh, my fault. Okay. I'm
I'm sure.
excited. But I do want to say thank you so much again for your time. This is very insightful for me. I hope that's insightful for all who are able to listen, watch, read, however they consume this form of media. I'm really excited to see where you go with power in the tongue. You're going to achieve everything that you want to achieve. Thank you so much for the time. I want to end by saying, welcome to the industry. Welcome to New Friends. It's been a pleasure having you, Angel.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This is great.